Nice to meet you, ladies. And as far as there are a lot of women who are willing to embrace change in their life, I want to talk with you about entrepreneurship in general. And there is a belief that small and medium business is blood of every economy. Is the issue treated like that in your countries? And what is done in your countries to empower entrepreneurship as a whole and female entrepreneurship in general?
Yes, thank you. And I would like to express my thanks for being invited here. It's a great pleasure to take part into this impressive gathering, impressive by the number of participants and impressive also by the importance and variety of topics which are being addressed. I'm Aurélia Bouchez, Ambassador of France to Azerbaijan, so I'm not part of the private sector. I'm more higher civil servants, public sector, but of course the issue of gender equality, of parité, as we say in French, is something which is common to public sector and private sector. Since you asked me about the private sector, I will start with that. I would say that in France, of course, there is a great importance attached to parity between men and women as a general cause. Even President Macron decided to make it a grande cause nationale, the great national cause, which is parity, equality between men and women. And of course, the working life is an area where inequality and lack of perspective for women still can exist. So what can we do for that? We have tried to address various layers of the business world, starting with an array of state policies that promote gender equality and aim to bridge a gap between men and women in the workplace, in the public and private sector. For instance, at the beginning of this year, the French government introduced a new index of equal pay, which is a very concrete and mandatory set of rules. It means that companies that lag behind in this area will have 3 years, starting from this year, 3 years to correct the situation. If they do not do so, then they will face financial sanctions.
Girls, do you like something like that in Azerbaijan? Equal pay rules. Do you know there is a pay gap between men and women? That in every euro, man earns only 75 cents, normally earns a lady. Do you know that? And France will fight that, and within 3 years' time, there will be no difference.
Thank you. Thank you. It's a concrete measure, and indeed, it will be very interesting to see how quickly the companies respond to this. Of course, sometimes it might be a bit more difficult for smaller and medium companies rather than for big companies, because it might mean an increase of the cost of the wages, but nevertheless, it's part of what any company has to do, and we'll see how quickly they adapt. I would like to give another example. Regarding perhaps a larger company, you have another law, Koppe-Zimmermann law, which stipulates that 40% of board members in publicly traded companies should be women. 40% of board members, and sanctions are prescribed in case of non-compliance.
Aurelia, to tell the truth, all feminist ladies love Justin Trudeau for what he does in terms of gender empowerment. But Macron has all chances to compete with him, as I see.
Anyway, the World Bank assessed the various measures we took, and it has recently recognized further significant improvements brought to the legislation in this area by the French Assembly. And World Bank has recognized that France is among the 5 countries in the world that obtain a perfect score according to the World Bank Index. But of course, it's nice to get compliments, but it's even nicer to check, double check, that everything is properly implementation, and of course, it can only be something we will do together with the business, with the company, with the population, the society, and the women. Whatever the state might do, and indeed it's important, it is also absolutely essential that women respond also by being demanding, by knowing their rights and insisting to have them applied and not waiting for financial sanction before they have to ask and demand. So
thank you,
this is
Aurelia.
it.
Avital, you've recently saw how Aurelia promoted her her country and its opportunity. I even started thinking perhaps I should move to France. And what can you say about opportunities for small and medium entrepreneurs and women, in particular in Israel? Because we know that you are a hub of innovations, world hub of innovations.
Yeah. Can everybody hear me? Yes, right?
Here, Avital.
Yeah. So in Israel, we have the agency that promotes small and medium businesses, very much like the authority that there is here in Azerbaijan. And they have special programs under this agency and under different authorities, such as our innovation authorities, to promote women in these fields. Even though the high-tech and innovation sphere in Israel is very, very big, we want to see more and more women participating in this field. And there are different programs that the government holds in order to do so. But actually, I think that one of the most important measures that my government has done in the past few years, and this has been very recent, is giving men the opportunity to take maternity leave. And why is that important to promoting women? I have 3 children, and with each of them, you come and you say, okay, should I nurse? Should I give a bottle? If I'm supposed to nurse because that's the best thing for my baby, and I need to go back to work after 3.5 months, then who is staying home with this little creature? Okay, my parents are very young, they still work. Okay, so we give our new baby to a stranger? It doesn't make any sense. And I think this question is something that really comes to every woman. And the opportunity now of a man taking part of this maternity leave, staying home with the children as well, in such a very primary stage of their life, enables the woman to continue her career as well, if she wishes to at that point. And it enables her the freedom of choosing. The household will be able to choose who should be the one, the career person, and who should be the one that deals with the second or the most important career of family, okay? And for me at home, my children grew up and are growing up with a reality that mom goes to work and stays out late and goes to different meetings and working trips, and dad is the one who stays at home with them. And only now, when my 9-year-old is starting to understand that this is not the way normally or other families have, then different questions start to rise from her. And we need, for us, it was always very important to let the children understand that equality is the way a household should be done. And if I have a career which makes us go from country to country in order to enrich their lives and our lives, and my husband, he's the one who decided to take his position in high tech, and he said, I don't want to work 12, 14, 16 hours a day. I want to be home with the family. I want to sit with them and do homework with them and cook and clean. But that was our choice in order to decide who would be the worker parent and who would be the main caregiver at home.
Thank you. You told us a personal story, and it always touching, so thanks for that. I want to pass the word to Alina. Alina, you've been doing tremendous job to unite Ukrainian women and bring it here. 15 of us, Ukrainian delegation, came to participate in She Congress Azerbaijan, and all of that because of you. Tell everybody about efforts taken to promote women entrepreneurship in Ukraine by your project, She Experts.
First of all, salam alaikum. I would like to invite you to greet our delegation of 15 women entrepreneurs. They are over there. Please greet them. Ukraine! We are here to build bridges, and we are very proud to be invited today and to share our experience. And we would like to welcome you during our coffee break or the lunchtime. Please see us, talk to us. We represent a lot of industries, and we are happy to work with Azerbaijan. First of all, I would like to share my story, my personal story of women's empowerment. Could you imagine, it was 16 years ago, Bangkok, Thailand. It was 7 a.m. For me, it was like midnight, and it was very hot. And could you imagine why I decided to be at that time, early in the morning in Bangkok, to run a marathon? To run a marathon in Bangkok means really to run in a sauna. And I did it in order to join women who fight breast cancer. And we decided to fundraise an amount in order to help women in Thailand, but we joined efforts globally. And the story is very simple. I just want to talk about the finish line. We were very tired, but I saw another girl. She was running really very hard. It was hard. And I asked, it was improvisation. I asked, are you tired? Frankly, it was obvious. Tired, very tired. And it was also my impulse. I gave her my hand, and she gave me her hand. And we managed to get our target together. So actually, She Congress here in Baku is an example of international cooperation, and international partnership is a superpower. I would like to thank the government of Israel. You don't know, but there is a reason. We are here together with participants. I met in Haifa due to Mashav program. Please make a note, Mashav program. It is initiated by the Israeli government in order to support women globally, to give them skills, to develop innovative entrepreneurship. So I would like, and now it's another surprise from me, I would like to ask you to greet our dear guests from Uzbekistan, and they came here especially to participate in this event. Timir Khudjayeva Yelena and Valieva Zarina. And they came here purposefully to feel the spirit, superpower of women in Azerbaijan and think over about an idea to do something in Uzbekistan. Could you imagine this chain of energy? It was started in Ukraine, then due to Tatiana's efforts, Tatiana Khanum, we now here, thank you very much, from the bottom of our hearts. And now the chain of energy is going on. And now I would like to share briefly, people who knows me, they know I'm very practical and I prefer action plans. And if as a result of our today's panel discussion you've got an action plan, I'll be really happy. Because a dream, your dream without deadlines and plans is a nightmare. So think big, listen attentively. Please forget for some time your smartphones and listen how we could work together. She Exports program was initiated 2 years ago by several women. One of them was Deputy Minister of Economic Development and Trade in Ukraine. Her name is Natalia Mikolska, and another person was Mariana Kaganyak. She was Export Promotion Office head. And they decided that it's not enough to provide skills, tools. It's important to bridge countries and especially women entrepreneurs. And She Exports program has 3 pillars. The first, to raise awareness that women's economic empowerment is a point of growth in any country. The second, to give tools and information how to develop innovative entrepreneurship. So at the beginning of this session, before our panel, you were asked actually, what is your big dream? Maybe some of them were dreaming about a cafe, some of them about some in other industries. I would like to draw attention to exponential technology, augmented reality, 3D printing, and virtual reality. And frankly, I walk the talk. I decided to start my own business together with a partner, a male. I believe that gender mixed companies are really very productive. And I decided to create a virtual reality product to digitize historical heritage. For your reference, for your action plan, please find Arts X Tech in Facebook. And you'll see that we managed to create virtual reality museum when you can have your, let's say, gadgets and experience something which has been created in Ukraine 7,000 years ago. You could not touch them in museums, but you could interact in the virtual reality.
Alina, thanks a lot, but it seems like we are discriminating William.
Not at all.
And we're discriminating all ladies because they are hungry. So William, tell us, what do you do to promote gender equality in your country and to empower women to be, not to have this 190 years gap in terms of equal rights?
Well, thank you. First of all, my apologies for being late. Actually, I dashed here from another conference, which is on economic diversification, which is sponsored by the World Bank.
So what's the difference? Where is the best place to be?
Oh, well, the energy here is much, much better.
Oh, the correct answer, William.
But it was interesting, particularly to me, because one of the things that was focused on was the importance of human capital development. And myself, you know, I always think about the UN Development Program report that was issued, I think, in 2002, which was specifically focused on the Middle East, but one of the things that it talked about was the fact that some of the serious problems in that region, and obviously in the rest of the world, stems from the exclusion of 50% of a country's or region's population from the economic life of the country. And this is an incredibly, incredibly serious issue. And so for me, it's really important to be here to participate in this event and show the support of the United States and the embassy. And particularly, we're always very proud to be in these kinds of events and to see alumni of our International Visitor Leadership Program, like the She Congress organizer, Tatiana Mikhailova. So a huge shout out to Tatiana for helping organize this. And also because of the importance of leading programs for women's economic opportunities here in Azerbaijan. And so, for my part, I do think that the themes of your panel, of your Congress, in fact, I mean, are really critical because these are truly cross-border global issues. And they very much affect men, obviously. And I want to note particularly that last year, you know, Azerbaijan celebrated the 100th anniversary of the founding of the Azerbaijan Democratic Republic. And that was, of course, the first Muslim country to allow women to vote. And in fact, not just Muslim, but I would say the first country in the Eastern world altogether. And of course, it was also 100 years ago that the United States Congress ratified the 19th Amendment to the US Constitution, which prohibited states and the federal government from denying the right to vote to citizens of the United States on the basis of gender. Now, it took nearly a century and a half for women in the United States to secure the right to vote, but the story of America is not just about the successes that we've had in the past. Perhaps even more importantly, it's about what we learn from our failures and how we grow from those failures. So in other words, we really are a work in progress. And so today, I mean, I'm proud to be able to say that women in the United States not only vote in every election, but they hold and stand for some of our highest offices. Of course, the Speaker of the U.S. House of Representatives, Nancy Pelosi, is the third-ranking individual in the United States government, after the President and the Vice President. Women represent nearly half of the U.S. labor force, and they run some of our most innovative and dynamic companies. And however, just as in Azerbaijan, women in the United States still hold fewer elected positions than men. On average, they earn less than their male counterparts for the same work. And at the same time, they frequently shoulder a greater proportion of household responsibilities compared to their spouses. And so our interest here is that for societies to thrive, women and girls must have equal rights and equal opportunities as breadwinners, peace builders, and leaders.
Let's applause.
Absolutely. I think that that should be obvious. And they must have equal access to education, healthcare, technology and control of resources, lands, and markets. And so the United States supports those goals here in Azerbaijan and all over the world. And so one of this year's Secretary of State Awards for Global Excellence will recognize a company committed to supporting women's economic empowerment. And this is just one of the examples of what we're doing to promote positive change through U.S. corporate leadership. Now, the United States Agency for International Development, USAID, and other U.S. assistance programs in Azerbaijan support the establishment of new and emerging businesses by building women's entrepreneurial skills, their project management capacity, their agricultural knowledge, and their social engagement. And these projects have reached thousands of women in Azerbaijan and reflect the U.S. government's belief that gender equality and women's economic and social inclusion isn't just part of development. They are essential to development. And it's inspiring, particularly to me personally, to see private sector-driven projects like this forum tackling these issues as well. Now, to answer the question, at least in part, posed by the panel's title, what are the ways to grow business, social projects, and yourself in the flat world? Well, I'd say that this Congress is a very good way to start. And now for 3 years in a row, the She Congress has gathered women to exchange knowledge, skills, and energy. But I think beyond that, what's really fundamental is the ability to share best practices, the ability to network, to mentor.
And learn from mistakes.
Learn from mistakes, and to lead by example. You know, because I remember I was in Masala and I was talking to a female entrepreneur there over the summer, and I was asking her how she got into her business, and she had had some obstacles. Her family was not very supportive initially. She was lacking in some confidence, but she saw another woman entrepreneur who took on the challenge and was successful. And she said to herself, you know what, well, she did that, you know, I can do it. Why can't I do it? Of course I can. And I'm happy to say, I mean, that she is doing very well. And I'm hoping to see her become an even bigger businesswoman in the Masala region. So, you know, myself, I'm very pleased to see that this event has continued for the 3rd year and grown, and I very much hope to see it continue for years to come. And certainly the U.S. Embassy will continue to partner with and support the She Congress. So again, thank you very much for allowing me to be here with you today.
Thanks a lot. As far as we are having dinner time due to our schedule, we are closing the discussion, but we are available here. You can come up to us and address any question you want. Thank you all for being here with us. Thank you for supporting women entrepreneurship and for empowering women. And hope to see you next year here. Thank you.
Good.
Danya, thank you.